Hello, Joe here from Infiniti of Tacoma. Today I'm going to tell you about this awesome 2015 Infiniti Q50 Hybrid. The hybrids are a rare version of the Q50. They made them from 2014. I think 2019 was the last year of the hybrid. And the first vehicle to receive this hybrid system was the Infiniti M35H, which came out in 2011. So they've been making this hybrid system for a long time. We've had not seen really any major issues with the hybrid system. The hybrid versions of the Infinitis have been very reliable vehicles, and it's an amazing direct response hybrid system. So the number one reason for making a hybrid version of the Q50 is not just to maximize fuel economy. It does get great gas mileage, but it's also to improve performance. And the whole idea about the Q50 hybrid is you get 4-cylinder like gas mileage with V8 like performance. And if you look on the window sticker, output has a combined output of 360 horsepower, and you have 258 pound-feet of torque from the engine, and then you have 214 pound-feet of torque from the electric motor. So that gives you well over 400 pound-feet of torque, and that is a lot of torque. The Red Sport version of the Q50, which is now the performance leader of the Q50, is 400 horsepower and 350 pound-feet of torque. So even though the Red Sport makes more torque than the hybrid, more horsepower than the hybrid version of the Q50 hybrid still makes more torque, and you can really feel it when you step on the gas. It's almost like neck snapping acceleration. But at the same time, look at these fuel economy numbers: 27 city, 31 highway. That's usually what you'd get with a 4-cylinder version of the Q50. So the hybrid lets you have your cake and eat it too, near Red Sport levels of performance and 4-cylinder like gas mileage, and a very reliable system. And also adding in regenerative braking that will help save on brakes as well. This is a sport model of the Q50, so you have a little bit extra bolstering in the seats to hold you in place during performance driving. These nice magnesium paddle shifters, aluminum pedals, and a sport tuned suspension package. This one has a drive mode selector, makes changes to steering, traction stability control settings, engine and performance settings. You can also see that this has a dual display system. The Q50 is actually one of the first vehicles of its kind to have a dual display system. The top screen is for navigation, parking camera. The bottom screen is a tablet-like interface for vehicle settings and apps. You can also make changes to the drive mode selector down here. And this one features direct adaptive steering. So it's one of the first production vehicles to have direct adaptive steering. So during normal driving conditions, there's no mechanical connection to the front wheels. It's all handled by electric motors and computers. So the whole idea is it lets you take full control over programming the feel of the steering. I don't know if you've played video games where you can kind of set the settings for the video game controller, like in Forza Motorsport or Gran Turismo. Well, you can do the same thing with the steering on this one. You can make the effort heavier, you can make it lighter, you can control the response, the steering response. Really cool stuff. It also filters unwanted feedback and communicates the feedback that you want. For instance, if you hit a pothole or a rut in the road, which sometimes would jerk the wheel, that would be filtered out. And worry not, if there is a catastrophic failure, total system loss of power, you're not going to lose steering, because there is a mechanical steering rack as a backup. So if it loses power, a clutch kicks in and it activates that mechanical steering rack, so you can control the vehicle and bring it to a safe stop on the extremely rare occasion that you do have a catastrophic failure. We also have active trace control that will brake individual wheels to help the vehicle rotate a little bit better through the corners. Heated seats, 42,015 miles. A really nice color combination in black on black. Since most of our Q50s are coming off leases, 39-month leases, most of the pre-owned Q50s we were finding are 2017 models, so older 15 and 16 Q50s, usually they're coming in on trade. That's the main way to find those, so they're a little bit more difficult to find. So this hybrid is definitely one to consider. It uses a lithium-ion battery pack, so it doesn't take up as much trunk space as some of the competition. And I know there can be a little bit of confusion as far as hybrids. This is not a plug-in hybrid. The way the battery charges is when the engine is running, that will charge the batteries. And when you apply the brakes will run the electric motor in reverse, turning into a generator, so that will also charge the battery. So usually all that energy that you lose through braking, you can recapture that and put it back into the batteries. And at the same time, when it's using the electric motor's resistance to slow down the vehicle in regenerative braking, you're using less braking power from the regular brakes, so that will save you on your brake life. I mean, I had a Prius and I never had to do brakes to it, and I got rid of it at 90,000 miles and I still had plenty of brake life. So you'll probably have the same situation with your Q50 hybrid as well. Also, the sport package, you get these upgraded sport wheels, sport tuned suspension, larger brakes, a little bit more of an aggressive looking front fascia. So the way this hybrid system works is it can travel up to a mile at speeds of around 60 miles per hour just under electric power alone. And I've heard some people say, well, that's horrible. I mean, you figure a hybrid vehicle can go longer than that. Well, you know, there's plug-in hybrids which have bigger batteries that can usually drive 20, 30, 50, sometimes more just under electric power. Then the gas engine will kick in. But this hybrid system's kind of more like a conventional Prius. Like a regular Prius can't drive that far just under electric power alone, maybe a mile. But where it really helps is if you're in stop and go traffic, you're at a stoplight, the engine can shut off. Or if you're cruising for short periods, the engine can shut off for a couple minutes if you're cruising at a steady speed. And then also the ability to recapture that energy and put it back in the batteries and then use it again. That really actually pays big dividends in improving the fuel economy. And it also, having that electric motor also improves performance. It's like having an electronic turbocharger. So the regular 3.5 liter V6 makes 300 horsepower, but that electric motor, which also can just work on its own, but also can add on to the power of this engine. So with the engine and the electric motor working together, you have a combined output of 360 horsepower and over 400 pound-feet of torque for amazing performance and acceleration. A lot of people who are not too familiar with the Q50 hybrids, we tell them, hey, take it for a drive. And they take it for a spin and they're like, oh my God, I never realized this car's so fast. And some people who are looking at the red sports, which are a little bit more expensive, and they find them a little bit out of their price range, we encourage them to drive a hybrid if it's available. And a lot of times they're actually really surprised by the performance of the hybrid system and the value that you get and how close it is to the red sport model. Thanks so much for taking your time today to watch this video. Hopefully we see you soon and have a wonderful day.